Hey there, figure illustration students. Here's a quick demo for creating a color comp in Photoshop. So, I've got an Indiana Jones here, and I take the photo, open it up in Photoshop. I've got a new layer here, and I want to make the image lighter so I can draw on top. So there's a layer on top, which I'm going to set to multiply so I can draw on it. And then there's the photo layer, and I had to put a layer underneath because there was nothing there if I made it somewhat transparent. So we have a ghosted image here, and I am going to start searching for a brush. The one that I eventually settle on is the charcoal side brush by Matt Core from Control Paint. I don't know that this was the best brush to choose because it has some transparency in it, but it's the one that I went with. So I'm going to go through and start drawing here. So what I think I'm going to do is just stop talking for a little bit, and you can kind of see me go around the image and make a drawing. All right. At this point, we have most of the drawing all created. So I'm going to open up a new layer. I'm going to put it above the photograph, but below my first drawing. And what I do eventually do is My drawing isn't quite as dark as I want it to be, so eventually what I decided to do is I make a copy of that layer and have two of them. So I am going to sample some of these colors. The color concept or color comp that I'm aiming for with this one is the idea of this being overall warm. So I'm going to sample some of the skin tones and I'm going to start painting this in. When you see me show just the drawing and the painting and make the photograph disappear, you're going to see that there's plenty of parts of this because of the brush that I'm using. It's not very opaque. You have to go over things multiple times to make them solid. And because of that, you get a very kind of somewhat transparent picture. So what I think I ended up trying to do is go through, and I don't know if I'm going to do any of it during this video, but I copied this layer. I duplicated this layer as well. And by doing that, I can kind of stack them on top of each other. And when you do that, you get a much more solid look to your drawing. It's like taking your painting and then putting another painting right on top of it of the exact same thing. So that's what I am going to probably go through and do. I realize that I think about this point that when I'm sampling from the photograph, I'm getting something a little too gray. It's kind of like sampling the grayed out photo. So I start to sample and I color picked a brighter, stronger red here. And I'm going to start doing that also with the oranges and the peaches and the highlight colors. At a certain point, I started to select some of the areas to paint in. And as I did that, my lasso was kind of acting up and I was trying to do a couple different things at the same time. So this video doesn't go all the way through to the very end. But I think, again, I'm going to just kind of keep painting for a little bit. So I'm going to pause here and So I think I'm going to kind of zoom into some of the parts. If there's finer details that I want to pay attention to, I can zoom in, I can pan around, I can turn off the photo layer and kind of check things out. In a little bit, I do start to add in those duplicate layers. There's one right there, copy layer, and notice how much more solid the paint job is now. It looks more filled in. I can see through the gray and know which areas I haven't really gotten any attention to yet. So I'm going to start to try and use the lasso tool and select some of the bigger areas of the hat of the background to paint those in more solidly. But that's when my program started slowing down, so recording this didn't make a lot of sense. But overall, kind of using the ideas from the video that I created the other day for painting the color comps. If you were able to see some of that on my YouTube channel, you can kind of follow that if you're going to use traditional paint. And then this is maybe a way to go through and try and do this with Photoshop or a Procreate or something like that. I may try to do another really quick one with one of the sample images from the folder. But here's the final image, and thank you for coming.